blow your eardrums out there with the big five. Five biggest games on the schedule that were not Raven games this week. Last week, big five. Dallas, I think they were dominant. They were actually more dominant than I thought they would be. I thought the offense looked really good. Uh, Deshaun, I'm the last defender of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun just hasn't looked good. Um, no bullets in the gun. I think like they're going to start calling for him pretty quick. I don't think he's got a long runway as well. I think Dallas was clicking on all cylinders. I think Dallas looked pretty good for a week one situation in the first game. I thought Brady wasn't great on the mic in the first game, at least. I thought, he's still got some work to do there. First game for him, too, as well. I thought Jacksonville and Miami, that was kind of what I expected. We're going to talk about Tyreek Hill here as well in a second. But I thought the Dolphins, I think, are what they thought. I think these two teams are kind of what I thought they were. Dolphins, I think, and Jags, I think, are going to two teams that are going to score. They're going to be up and down. And so that's the way that's going to go for those teams. So they kind of, to quote Jim Mora, quote Dennis Greenyard, they are what they thought they were. So that's kind of the narrative there. I do believe it was a great game on Sunday night. I thought that was the best game of the weekend. If you didn't think the Ravens game was, the Rams just an inch away from the Lions. The Lions, I think, are the real deal. I think the Lions might be the best team in the NFL. Rams, I think, have a good young up-and-coming team, and they have an old wily vetted quarterback, Stafford. I think Stafford now. I didn't realize this until they said on the broadcast. Oldest quarterback in the league, not named Aaron Rodgers. Oldest quarterback starting in the NFC now. So very close, outstanding game. Jordan Love out in the Big Five as far as Green Bay as well. So he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Philly looked good. Saquon looked really good. That field, this is what happens with these neutral site games. The fields, they can't get the field right. And he got hurt. And I think that's going to be a lot. I'm sure they're talking about that in Green Bay a lot as well. All right, this week, speaking of the Packers, since you brought it up, I think this week, Colts against Green Bay Packers. Packers will not have Jordan Love under center. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. They're lucky they're going to get Jordan Love back. And all it was feared a torn ACL. It is not a torn ACL. So it's a high ankle sprain MCL. So they're not going to have him for the first couple weeks as well. Anthony Richardson came pretty close in the last week in the loss to the Texans. Texans were really good, kind of pushed them. George's still out on Richardson as well. I don't know how good Richardson is. I thought he was decent last week. The tools are there for them. I think he was overdrafted, only in the sense of I think his accuracy wasn't good, and he really hasn't played. So that's why I'm saying you still don't know. They have some players on the Colts, but I think I don't. Interesting to see though how big of a drop Malik Willis is compared to Jordan Love. I actually still kind of like the Packers. I'm still not sold on the Colts as well. I think the Packers can still maybe grind it out as well. The Colts definitely wouldn't have a shot like Holder in the year, but I think I'm gonna surprise people. I'm stick with the Pack. I'm still not sold on the whole Colts thing yet. Even though they were pretty representative last week against a really good team, the Texans, as well. Jaguars and the Brownies. So this is bad news for the loser here. They're going to be 0-2, no matter who it is. I think the Brownies, I think, have a legitimate shot here in this game to go ahead and become 0-2. Deshaun Watson's not making it. I've really kind of defended Deshaun in a weird way. I think I haven't been giving him an F, but you really have to give him an incomplete. He sat out for a whole year, didn't play the following year either, really, until I think the end of the year. And then he really didn't play until 2020. So really 2020, he really didn't play much. 2021, I think it was, he didn't play much at all. I think he played in a few games. I think last year 2023, I think, was his first year really getting a camp, really getting everything together. So where they expected him to play, kind of got out to a slow start. Turning around was like he was starting to turn it around a little bit with the Ravens, and he did well, and then he gets hurt. And now off season, Joe Flacco takes the Browns to the playoffs. He starts out with a dud again. So I don't know how much more patience they're going to keep showing with Deshaun as well, even despite all the money they paid him. The Jags, I think, are kind of what I thought. They're Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a solid. Trevor Lawrence is a solid quarterback. I think the bloom is off the rose, but I think he's a solid quarterback. Etienne, I think, is a good running back. I think Brian Thomas, it looks like they have a good young receiver there, even though they got rid of some receivers. So I think they are kind of, I think, in the same place. Possible playoff team, good team. I think they beat the Browns. Watson, I don't know. I can't keep saying a lot about Watson. The Bucs and the Lions. I think two teams that won the division last year. I think the Lions, I think, are the best team in the entire NFC. I think the Bucs are better than everybody thinks. I think everybody fell in love with the sexy pick, the Falcons, with all the moves they made. I thought the Bucs have been chugging along. Look, Baker Mayfield is a good NFL quarterback. Let's say it. I mean, he's been good in Tampa. He's been good for a while, and I think he's the reason why they're in the playoffs last season. They won week 1. I think the Bucs, are a solid team. I think anybody is going to have a tough time with the Lions. They have the best offensive line in the league, super physical, super well coached. They have an identity. I think their defense, is coming along. I think the secondary, is still a bit of a work in progress, but I think it's better than it was. I think the Lions can win this game comfortably as well. One of the biggest games of the weekend here, I think certainly when you talk about the marquee matchup, the Bengals, which lost last week, are probably one of the biggest shocks of the biggest shock of week 1, losing to New England. They're going to go down to Arrowhead and play the Chefs and Pat Mahomes. You can say whatever you want about Joe Burrow, the only one in the league that's really they could say, yeah, I knocked out Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. He's the only one. Brady's the other one. He's retired. So you can't say him. Bad starts consistently for the Bengals. Not ready to play. Year after year after year, they're getting off to these slow starts. I got to say, Burrow didn't look good last week at all. At all. Now, again, because it's Burrow, he'll come around, you think. But this has got to stop if they're going to win a Super Bowl. You can't look like garbage the first week on offense. You can't look like garbage. The line they spent a lot of money and tools on, they were blitzed pretty bad by New England. I think New England's defense may not be horrible, but that was bad the first week. I think the Chefs are. I think you got to say they're the best team in the AFC. Mahomes, we know. Kelsey, I think, a little bit of a slow start. I think the receiving core has improved. I think the line has improved. I think guard to guard, they're fantastic. Defensively, I don't think they're as good as they were last year. We'll see how that plays out. I think that could be the trade-off. Chris Jones, McDuffie, Bolton, and I think just maybe some guys. I don't think they're as strong. Justin Reed's pretty good, but I don't know how good their defense is. But I definitely think they win in this one here as well. And Falcons and the Eagles, I think is going to be a big one here as well. I think the Falcons, are really good. I don't know if they're ready. This is a one that you got to say. This is a litmus test. This is a test to see if they're ready for prime time. See if they're ready for becoming, I think, one of the better teams. They did lose last week, ugly, to the Squealers. I think it's a work in progress. I do like a lot of the stuff they've done in Atlanta. I just think everybody's a little bit hyperbolic with the early success. What they should do is go ahead and work with and use and use Bijan Robinson in the game as well. Run the ball more. I think while they're trying to find a way, I think that's a good thing to do. I think the Eagles' offense is legit. I don't think there's anything wrong. Jalen Hurts, I kind of think he is what he is. He's kind of super unique. He's definitely got the tools. He's definitely got the run game. I think the line, I thought offensive line, I think looked fine. Defensively, they're not great. I think they're going to get better. They look better than they did last year at the end. I mean, certainly. So 1 week, I'll take the Eagles in this game. There you go. Big five. 5 biggest games on the schedule that were not Raven games. So definitely check us out with all. Check out all the games this weekend as well. All right, so let's get to